Hi there, I'm Shaheen Sidi. Today's video is going to be on pre-sales, what you need to know, where you can start, and how to negotiate a contract. The first thing we're going to talk about is the rescission period. There is a 7-day window where you can rescind a contract. What that means is that you write a contract, you sign the contract, the developer gives you a disclosure statement, normally about this thick, and you go through it and you look at what the building will have and what it won't have, and you determine whether or not this is the building for you. And between the 7 days, if you decide that this building is not right for you, you can rescind the contract at no cost. So very, very important that you read what you're buying and you learn about the contract. The second thing that's important is the developer. I don't know how many times I can stress this. It's so important to buy a building from a reputable developer. In the Lower Mainland, we have many reputable developers. They've been in the business for a very long time. You can trust their products. You can trust that they stand behind their buildings. I'm going to name a few for you. For example, there's Boza Properties, Boza Development, Omni Group, Polygon, Park West, West Bank. That's just to name a few of them, that buildings that I've worked with, the developers that I've worked with in the past, where I've seen that they have a consistent standard that they need to meet, and you know what you're buying. So if I were you and you don't know the builder, please go on their website, please look them up, determine whether or not this is the right building for you, because you don't want to find out later that the developer's gone bankrupt. I mean, we saw that many times during the Whistler Olympic Games, where developers were going bankrupt from building, and then the city had to come in and help. In most cases, the city is not going to help you. So please make sure you buy from a reputable builder. The next thing I'm going to talk about is to get a realtor. I can't stress this enough. This is so important. If you get yourself a good realtor, because when you purchase a unit, they can help walk you through the contract. They can help you negotiate your contract. And basically, they're working in your interest. So please, please get yourself a realtor. You don't pay the realtor any money. Basically, they're paid from the developer. So you have no reason not to have one. And basically, if something happens in the contract, they can let you know right away. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the contract itself. Every developer has their own contract. And in most cases, even a realtor doesn't know what the contract states. It's not like a standard MLS contract. Each developer will write a contract that suits their needs at the time. So basically, that's one of the reasons you should have one. Realtors, they work with contracts all the time. They understand what things mean, and they can walk you through what you can negotiate in the contract and what you can't negotiate. And I'm going to go through some of the things you can and can't negotiate now. So the first thing we're going to come to when we sign a contract is the price of the contract. In most cases, the developer standardizes the price of a contract. So there's no really way to change that price. The price is fixed. So the next thing we can negotiate is the deposit structure. If you want to, you usually sign a contract with the developer. They have their own standard deposit structure. It's usually something like you pay 5% in 10 days, you pay the next 5% in 60 days, and you maybe pay 10% in 120 days. You can negotiate this. So if you feel that you need a little bit more time to come up with the money, they could do 5% 10 days, 5% in 90 days, and the 10% in a year. So definitely room for negotiation and deposit structures. So the next thing we're going to also talk about is what you can negotiate when you sign a contract. You have to put your name on the contract. Usually the name is fixed, and if you want to assign the contract to someone else later, you have to pay the developer a fee. So what I recommend that if you purchase a unit, you're not sure whose names are going to be on the unit. Maybe you want to put it in your company name. Maybe you want to put it in your kid's name and give it to them as a gift when they get married. You should put that you have the right to assign the contract to different parties. And as long as you name the parties when you write the contract, you can transfer the contract to them in a further date at no cost. Because usually the developer will charge 2 to 3% off the contract price to assign at a later date if they're not stipulated in the contract. Very important. If you know there might be a chance, just write them in. So the other thing you can negotiate is, say you sell your home and you're downsizing because you're retiring to a condo. And most condos, when you go walk through them, they have in the washrooms the bathtub. And say you just don't want a bathtub, you just want a large shower stall. Well, you can definitely negotiate that in the contract at this point in time and say to the developer, I can't climb over the bathtub, or I don't want a bathtub. Can I please have that changed to a shower stall? And in most cases, they will do it for you in an addendum. So what else can you negotiate? Well, you can definitely negotiate parking. Maybe you have a large pickup truck and you need a larger parking stall. If you tell the developer that, they will write it in an addendum. Maybe you want an EV parking stall. So you definitely have the right to negotiate that in the contract. Most buildings that I come across, they have EV stalls outside your parking stalls so that you can charge your cars. But nowadays, in the future, most cars are going to be EV. So why not just put an EV plug into your stall at this point in time? So definitely negotiable. Get that done in your contract right away. You don't have to worry about it in the future. Okay, so what else can you negotiate? Usually, if you need an extra parking stall, you can ask the developer how much it would cost to purchase one. I know that most times you buy one bedroom, you might get one parking stall, but maybe you want two parkings because you're married, or you have a partner and you both have your own vehicles. Best to ask how much a second stall will cost and negotiate that into your contract as well. As well as lockers. Sometimes you might want a larger locker. You can definitely negotiate that in the contract. Sometimes they'll have larger lockers. They'll definitely come with a fee, but they are negotiable at this point in time. Okay, let's talk about the 2510 warranty. The reason I stress to you that it's important to get a reputable builder is because there's limits on what a 2510 warranty will cover. So the 2510, they have a maximum of the lesser of your purchase price or $100,000. Now, if you're purchasing a unit, I'll tell you, most units I sell do not sell for $100,000. So really your maximum coverage is $100,000 per unit. And then the building has also got a warranty, and the 2510 warranty covers, based on the number of units, of $100,000 a unit, or a maximum of $2.5 million. So if you have 100 units in your strata, you're only going to get covered for $2.5 million as a maximum coverage for the building. So if there's an envelope issue or a structural issue, Your maximum coverage is 2.5 million. So please get yourself a reputable builder. I've talked about that already. This is one of the main reasons why I can't stress it enough. Okay, so let's talk about some of the risks involved with buying a property. Most pre-sales will take at least 3 years to build. And basically after 3 years, you don't know what your situation will be. I mean, you could have had a baby and not be working. You could have something happen with COVID-19 and your company's closed down. You just don't know where you're going to be in 3 years. So that is a risk, especially for your mortgage. You don't know if you'll be covered for your mortgage in 3 years. Just because you're covered at day one when you buy the pre-sale does not mean you're going to be covered when you go to get your property at completion. You need to requalify for a mortgage. So let's talk about another risk involved in pre-sales, and I'm going to talk about legislative changes. So basically what that means is that if the government institutes a new policy or a change, you may not know about it because the developer is not going to tell you, but definitely your realtor is going to inform you right away. And so let's talk about some of those changes that have happened in the past. We have the foreign buyer tax. That just came out. It doesn't say that it covers people who are already in a contract. It only covers people that completes by a certain date, and then the foreign buyer tax is in place. So if you got a pre-sale that doesn't complete for 3 years, you could be affected by that. There was also a change in legislation for mortgage borrowers. If you didn't know about the change in legislation, then you may not have a mortgage. And the only time you're going to know about this is if you have a realtor, because the developer is not going to tell you any legislative changes. That's on your risk. You need to be informed. So that's why I stress to you about getting a realtor. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the contract date. Usually when you purchase a pre-sale, the developer will have a guideline and say to you that this pre-sale will be ready on January 1st, 2024. And then in a clause later on, they will have a clause where they state that they have 9 months extra time to complete the project. In most cases, I've always seen developer projects run later than their completion date guideline. And the reason for this is the developers giving themselves some time in case they have problems getting building permits, or weather might interfere with building their units, such as snow in Vancouver. We're not used to getting snow, so all of a sudden it starts to snow and they can't get their trucks in, or they can't get the people in. Another reason for a delay could be COVID-19, where you have to implement social distancing, and all of a sudden this building is going to take a little bit longer to build, and it won't be built right away. So always check with the developer as you get closer to this time frame. They're really happy to let you know whereabouts they're standing, because they always want you to bring other people to them in the future, or purchase another unit from them yourself. They want you to have a happy experience. Okay, so what are the benefits of purchasing a home? The biggest benefit people have talked about is when they've purchased a home, the market has improved significantly, and by the time they've taken ownership of the home, they can sell it for much more money than they purchased it for. The market changes every day, and so I'm not going to tell you that's always going to be the case. I mean, right now we've got COVID-19 happening, and the risk is that businesses are going to close down, people are going to lose their jobs, And is there going to be a recession? I couldn't tell you that, and I don't think anybody could. So we don't know where the market will be, but in the past, it has definitely been one of the driving motivators of pre-sales. So let's talk about the next benefit to pre-sales. It's property transfer tax. What is property transfer tax? That is a tax that is payable when you register your name to title on a pre-sale. Now, there's legislation in place right now that if you purchase a home below $750,000, the property transfer tax is waived. And so for all pre-sales, that's a savings of about $13,000 to $14,000. You're basically saving 1% on the first $200,000 and 2% on the balance. So huge savings, take advantage of it, try and stay below the $750,000 threshold. The third benefit to purchasing your unit in 3 years is it actually gives you a chance to save some extra money. Maybe you need some extra money to put on a down payment, or you want to purchase new furniture. Definitely a benefit to the extension period where you know you'll be having your home and you just have the time to save up for it. So very, very helpful. So I'd just like to thank you very much for watching my video on pre-sales. My name is Shaheen Sidi. I work with Sutton Centre Realty. I've been a realtor for over 15 years. If there's any topics you want me to discuss, please put them at the bottom and I will definitely read your comments. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. I hope to be able to provide more material on what to look forward to when you're purchasing or selling your home. Thank you so much.